I'm going to go ahead and slow this down for a second because when the news broke that Mike McDaniel was headed to the Chargers, my first reaction wasn't shock. Honestly, it was curiosity because the more you think about this pairing, the more it starts to feel dangerous. And this is not to say that Detroit should have got him. But obviously, when you don't hire coaches or you don't take players out of free agency or any of those things happen when you're not the beneficiary, then they go somewhere else. And this feels dangerous because it's not just for the AFC West, but for the entire league. And the question I keep coming back to is this: are the Chargers about to have the best offense in the NFL in 2026? And I'm going to break this down because it's pretty concerning. And I'm not talking about a fun offense or a trendy offense. I mean, I'm talking about the kind of offense that defensive coordinators lose sleep over, the kind that force teams to change how they build the roster just to try to slow it down. Jim Harbaugh, when he left Michigan, made it very clear that he was going to LA because he wanted a Super Bowl. And he's had good seasons, honestly. I mean, his records have been very strong. Obviously, he must have felt that an OC is where they were lacking. Well, he just went and picked out one of the best ones available. Mike McDaniel is one of those coaches where people focus a little bit too much on his personality and not enough on his brain. Yeah, he's quirky. I talked about this. I talked about this in other segments when the Lions were looking at him. He gives funny press conferences. But underneath, there is a guy who understands space, timing, leverage, and stress better than almost anybody in the league. And it's probably a good match for them. Because quite frankly, Jim Harbaugh is just as strange. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is a strange guy. And if you're not a Michigan fan, if you haven't followed Michigan football, he's done a number of strange things too. Just not quite as out in the open like McDaniel. So maybe this is an excellent pair because the Chargers need this. I mean, Mike McDaniel's offenses don't just move the ball. They manipulate defenses. They force you to defend every inch of the field, horizontally and vertically. They punish hesitation. Jim Harbaugh is going to like that a lot. But the bigger concern is Justin Herbert, because there are good quarterbacks in this league, but there are other good quarterbacks that could be great. Tremendous upside. And Justin Herbert is one of those players. And I think that's where the conversation really shifts, because Herbert has spent most of his career being asked to do everything by himself. I mean, he's had to convert third and longs, save broken plays, throw into tight windows. And despite all that, he's still been productive. I mean, that alone should scare people. I did not pick McDaniel to go to LA. I did not think this was going to happen. There wasn't a lot of reporting that this was going to happen. It sounded more like he was going to wind up in Cleveland, honestly. But what McDaniel's going to bring to LA is structure. I mean, he's going to bring answers before the snap. He's going to bring motion, misdirection. And instead of Justin Herbert having to play hero ball, which is what he's had to do, he's going to get to play chess. And that's how great quarterbacks become terrifying. Not by throwing harder, but by throwing smarter. And when you look at the Chargers roster, this doesn't feel like a square peg situation at all. This feels like timing. This feels like an organization finally realizing that they've had a Ferrari in the garage and they've been driving it like a pickup truck. I honestly think that McDaniel it couldn't be a better fit. Not for the Chargers, at least. But I mean, for the rest of the NFL, Lions included, I think this is going to be a problem. Because Mike McDaniel's system thrives on versatility. It thrives on players who can line up in multiple spots, who can motion, who can create mismatches just by existing on the field. And the Chargers already have the foundation for that under Harbaugh. And now they picked up a coach who knows how to weaponize it. And here's the part that people need to understand, though, because I don't think it's going to be an overnight thing. This isn't a week one fireworks show where everything is going to be perfect. And if we're being honest, 2026 is probably going to be a messy season at times for them. But 2027, that's going to be the year you circle for this team, because that's when Justin Herbert's going to be comfortable with him. That's when he's going to fully own the offense. And I'm talking about McDaniel. And that's when the roster is going to reflect the coach's vision instead of the previous regime's leftovers. That's when details are going to start stacking on top of each other. What Mike McDaniel wants done is going to become instinctual. And that's when the offenses are going to start to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. So if we're going to ask each other whether the Chargers could have the best offense in the NFL in 2026 or beyond, I think you also need to take into consideration who they're competing with. I mean, Kansas City could be dangerous, but they're not who they once were. They're going to have to evolve as pieces age and defenses adjust. Buffalo, I don't know how threatening they are anymore, honestly. I mean, they looked unstoppable in the beginning. They were Super Bowl favorites, bounced out early. San Francisco, beautiful system. Absolutely beautiful system. I can't say enough about them, but there's still a ceiling question at quarterback in Purdy, honestly. And you got Detroit, who is explosive. They've got the talent. It kind of feels like they should have been there already. They haven't been. They should have been. I'd love to have that 49ers game back, but sustaining that type of production and progress year over year over year is hard in this league. It's difficult. I mean, you get a window and then it's over. And I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Detroit's window is over, but every year teams shuffle. And Mike McDaniel to the Chargers, I'm telling you, this is a concern. If this works the way it could work, the Chargers would have a quarterback with elite physical tools paired with a coach who designs offenses like a mathematician. And there's no way I can even understate this. I mean, that combination is very rare. And when it hits, it doesn't just win games, it changes the conversation. And so now none of this is guaranteed. I mean, offensive line health matters. Defensive struggles can put unnecessary pressure even on the best offenses. And LA has some things they need to work out. I mean, they just lost Jesse Minter, who was a defensive mastermind, to Baltimore. I'm going to get into that in a later segment. But ownership patience is also a wild card as well. I mean, you can't pull the plug the moment things look uncomfortable. And I think a lot of NFL owners should take heed of that right now, because NFL coaches are getting fired at an unnecessary clip. I mean, it's unbelievable. But this kind of offense, one that's being run by Mike McDaniel, it's going to require some commitment. And if the Chargers actually let this breathe, if they let McDaniel do what he wants and build this the right way, then yeah, this isn't hype. This isn't off-season noise. I mean, the idea that the Chargers could be looking at the best offense in the NFL in 2026 or 2027 is very real. And if that happens, a lot of people are going to pretend they saw it coming. I'm going to be straight up with you. I mean, I honestly did not see him going to LA, but now that he's there, that's quite the interesting change. We're going to keep an eye on it. You're listening to Midnight Sports Detroit.